So let's talk about two more types of comma rules. The first we'll talk about using commas when we have items in a series, and the second part we'll talk about transitions at the beginning of sentences. So first, items in a series, probably the comma rule you are most familiar with. The rule says if more than two items appear in a list, place a comma between the items and before the conjunction. So let's take books, sports, and movies, and let's put this into a sentence that uses commas. The way the sentence would read, I enjoy books, comma, space, sports, comma, space, and movies. In this case, the comma comes after the items in the series, books and sports, and it comes before the conjunction. The sentence should not read, I enjoy books, comma, sports, comma, and comma, movies. The comma in this case comes before the conjunction, and the conjunction in the sentence is and. Here's another example. I like playing basketball, comma, volleyball, comma, and baseball. So, as noted earlier, we use commas with a series of nouns, which we know and we just did. Here's an example. We ate peas, comma, carrots, comma, and asparagus, comma, yummy. But we also use commas with a series of prepositions. Now this gets a little bit trickier. Here's an example. I sent a copy of the results to her mother, comma, her aunt, comma, and her brother. Now, this is still a series of nouns. However, it's a series of prepositions, essentially, with them. And we also use commas with a series of clauses. The example, I care about how the Indians play defense, comma, how they play offense, comma, and how they score runs. So each of these examples still is items in a series, but it's different because we use nouns, and we use prepositions, and we use clauses. So the rule stands the same, however the sentences can be slightly different. So let's look at a couple more examples. Here's a sentence, Mozart, Beethoven, and Bach are my favorite composers. Where would you place the commas? You'd place them here. She likes Abby Wambach, Hope Solo, and Carly Lloyd. Where would you place the commas? You'd place them here. She is aggressive when playing offense, determined when playing defense, and persistent when in the midfield. Where would you place the commas? You'd place them here. And then finally, she wants to report mail to her brother, her mother, and her father. Where would you place the commas? Here. The first two sentences involve items in a series, nouns. The third sentence is still items in a series, but it's a series of clauses. And then the last sentence, a series of prepositions. Again, they're all items in a series, but they take slightly different forms. So that's items in a series, and now we'll move to transitions. The rule says we use commas after transitions, words or phrases, at the beginning of a sentence. For example, the transitions may include like thus, therefore, in conclusion, in summary, etc. So here's an example. Therefore, comma, is a transition at the beginning of a sentence. We can conclude that there is a relationship between the two variables. The comma goes right after therefore. In conclusion, comma, peanut butter and jelly is the best, because you know it is. Again, these are transitions that occur at the beginning of the sentence. In summary, comma, I went to Virginia, Michigan, and Minnesota this summer. In summary is the transition at the beginning of the sentence. And then Virginia, Michigan, and Minnesota are items in a series. So here are a few more examples. Oh, and also, when working with transition, at the beginning of a sentence, it always helps to know what the previous sentence said. That can help you know whether the first word of your sentence is a transition. So here's an example. We did not meet the results, we did not get, is what it should say, the results we were looking for in variable x. Therefore, comma, we can conclude that there is no relationship. The comma comes after therefore. Here's another example. I've only eaten peanut butter and jelly my whole life. Period. Transition word, consequently, at the beginning of a sentence, so it has a comma, peanut butter and jelly is the best.